What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Friday. Happy Friday to all you out there. It's almost the weekend. Today, we're going to be talking about possibly my final team for preview prediction videos for the 2021 college football season. We're talking about the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Hey, if you guys like what you see from me, again, I'm just a huge college football fan. I'm no expert, but if you like what you see from me, you're a Minnesota fan or you're a college football fan, please hit that subscribe button down below. Show your support for the channel. It's almost tripled in size over the past couple of months. You can also leave a like, share the videos as well. Helps push this content out to people who want to see it. And you can also leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on the Golden Gophers, how you think they're going to do in 2021. Just, of course, be mindful of what you say. That's all that I ask. Also, if you would like to see a team that I didn't do this offseason, maybe you're a fan of the team or you just want my opinion on a certain team that I did not do, I apologize, I just hit my mic there. You can leave that in the comment section down below, and I might do a couple more next week. But as planned, this is my last one. Let's talk about Minnesota. So in 2019, they were a very, very good team. A double-digit wins. They seemingly just came out of nowhere, won a lot of games, and they did it well. Then 2020 came. Oh, boy. I know I've said 2020 was what it was, and for so many teams, it was a horrible year. And Minnesota, well, they were affected by some opt-outs, some injuries, some COVID stuff, and mainly a young defense that should get a lot better this year, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But Minnesota was not up to the 2019 standard in 2020. In fact, we're under 500. We'll look at their record here in a little bit. So for Minnesota, we got to look at what they lost. While their offense was still pretty good last year, they're losing a big piece of that, and that's Rashod Bateman, who led the team in receiving yards last year with around 500 and was second on the team, only behind Tyler Johnson in 2019. Tyler Johnson was another very, very good wide receiver at Minnesota. So a couple big pieces now for Minnesota in the past couple of years are gone. Rashod Bateman was one of the better wide receivers in the nation. They've got to have someone step up and fill in for that role. Tight end Seth Green didn't really play a whole lot, so Seth Green is gone. Keontae Scad, however you say that last name, I apologize. Again, I'm going to mispronounce names. So again, I apologize. But Keontae was a very solid depth piece in the defensive line. I don't ever believe really got into a starting role, but that's a solid depth piece gone for Minnesota. Noah Cox didn't play a lot at Minnesota, or at least didn't get on the stat sheet a lot. Had the chance to go play more elsewhere and took it. Benjamin Sapp and Abner Dubar are gone. Some solid depth pieces in the defensive back position. But Benjamin St. Juste, just however you say that name, I apologize sincerely. I'm going to call him Benny because that was what he was listed as on the stat sheet. But Benny, pretty substantial loss in the defensive back position. Not as substantial as Antoine Winfield was a couple of years ago, but still a big loss nonetheless. But hey, it's not about what you lost. It's about what you have. Here are some key players that Minnesota has coming back. I'll mention some guys that are not on this list as well. Tanner Morgan coming back at the quarterback position, and you know that Tanner Morgan is looking to bounce back from the way he played in 2020. 2019 was an excellent season for Tanner Morgan. 2020 was not. And you have to think he's going to get back to at least somewhat of what he looked like in 2019. And he has to if Minnesota is going to want to replicate that 2019 success, right? But Mo Ibrahim last year had the best season of his career. And if you right now don't think that Mo Ibrahim is a top 10, possibly even top 5, I have a number 2. But if you don't at least think he's a top 10 running back in the nation, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Mo Ibrahim is absolutely fantastic. He is really, really good running back who my pick to be leading rusher if it's not going to be Breece Hall this year. Very good. Should be a huge presence on this offensive team. On the offensive side of the ball. Wide receivers Chris Ottman-Bell and Daniel Jackson are coming back. They're also getting a transfer from Texas A&M. Now, never got on the stat sheet and didn't even play a whole lot at Texas A&M. First name Dylan, last name escaping me. I apologize. But Minnesota really likes him over spring, summer, and now fall camp. So he might be able to fit into a top 3 role. Watch out for that name. You'll have to find the last name, and for that, I apologize. On the defensive side, you got Niles Pinckney coming in, a grad transfer from Clemson. He could end up starting, but I think when he was transferred was seen as a nice depth piece. I think maybe could even start, though. We'll see, right? But Boye Mafe could be the best defensive lineman on this team if it's not Niles Pinckney. Was the sack leader last year, so that's a huge win for Minnesota. You got Mariano Sori-Marin and Oliver Braylon coming back. Those are two huge pieces at linebacker. And at defensive back, you got Coney Durr and Jordan Howden coming back as well. I'm sure there's some players I forgot to mention, but hey, hard for me to mention everyone. I think there are a lot of players that can make an impact on this Minnesota team. We'll have to wait and see how their defense does in 2021. Should get better, though. All right, so here is the schedule for Minnesota. They were 3-4 last year. That put them 4th in the Big Ten West, and we're one of the few teams that actually declined an invitation to a bowl game. Again, last year was kind of weird. They had some teams that were like 3-7 making bowl games. Minnesota said, no thanks, we're good. Hey, I'm talking about some games more than others. They're more interesting matchups to me. If they get highlighted in green, it's a win. Highlighted in red, it's a loss. Let's talk about Minnesota's schedule. Predict it in 2021. Starts off with a home game against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Every year, it seems like it's Ohio State's conference to lose. Very much the same scenario this year. Although game being played on a Thursday. So a little of an awkward start date. For Ohio State, though, Ohio State's one of the most talented teams in the nation. Sure, they have to replace Justin Fields, but whoever starts at quarterback has the best group of wide receivers in the nation, plus Jeremy Ruckert at tight end, who can play like a wide receiver. Also a pretty solid group of running backs there at Ohio State. You got Master T coming back, Travion Henderson coming in. So, in my opinion, no matter who starts for Ohio State, whether that be Stroud, Miller, McCord, they have a really solid offensive cast to work with, but it's the defense that has a lot of Ohio State fans, including myself, a little bit concerned. Now, the defensive line should be one of the best in the entire nation with the talent they have coming back. And, of course, with the talent they have coming back and what they have coming in with Sawyer, JT, other recruits, Ohio State's defensive line should be fine, and it could pose some troubles for Mo Ibrahim in this game, especially with Minnesota's offensive line. But if Minnesota can create those holes, Mo Ibrahim should be able to get past that defensive back seven. The linebacking group is going to be young, inexperienced, with high expectations for Ohio State, and while the defensive back group is going to get better, while the secondary is going to get better, in my opinion, as they tried playing Sean Wade in a new position last year, didn't really work out. I don't think it's going to be super phenomenal at Ohio State, but I do think it's going to be better. Minnesota is going to take advantage of a lot of things on Ohio State's defense, and I think keep this one close throughout the first half. But Ohio State has too much talent on the offensive end, and I think that defensive line starts to figure out the offensive line and what Mo Ibrahim has up their sleeve. And I think Ohio State pulls away in the second half to win a pretty solid opening game for both these teams in TCF Bank Stadium. Let's get that record up to 500. I think Minnesota goes and beats Miami of Ohio, albeit Miami of Ohio won the Mid-American in 2019. So not a pushover by any means, but Minnesota's still the more talented team. When you look at this Colorado game, though, on the road in week 3, now I'm going to put up my prediction and I'll explain why. Okay, Minnesota fans, let me explain. Minnesota, you guys are going to be a very solid team this year, and I believe that. You'll see that evident when you see my final record prediction. However, this Colorado team defensively looked really, really good last year and could still be really good this year. Now, I've said in the past that I'm not a huge fan of Colorado this year. I don't think they're going to be that special. And I still think that way on the offensive side. On the defensive side, this could be a very middle-of-the-road defense in the nation, and I think is going to cause some problems for Minnesota. Nate Landman's one of the best tackling linebackers in the nation. Mohamed Ibrahim's going to have a hard time trying to get around Nate Landman. And then overall, this Colorado defense is pretty solid. Offensively, they got some work to do, but Jarek Broussard is one of the best running backs in the nation. And I think Jarek Broussard could have a really nice day against a Minnesota defense that I still think is struggling to put a couple of pieces in place. Colorado pulls off what I'm going to say is an upset, slight upset. Home game against Bowling Green is up next, and Minnesota should be able to beat the Falcons, no problem. Don't have to talk about that one any longer. So now Minnesota gets into Big Ten play. I also think they beat the Boilermakers of Purdue. Look, Purdue, I don't think it's going to be a great team this year, and they're still struggling to figure out who their quarterback's going to be, whether that's going to be Plummer or O'Connell. Look, they've gone to O'Connell in the past, in which I think Plummer is the better quarterback. And yes, they have David Bell out there. So you say, well, what's the problem? Well, Jeff Brom on the hot seat, and I think it's going to be job hunting this next upcoming offseason. Maybe Purdue fires him in the middle of the season. Who knows? I don't think Purdue's going to do that great this year. Minnesota wins this game. And then it's their bye week. So schedule-wise, it's a pretty good place for a bye week. Again, almost in the middle of the season, but also when you look at who they're playing, might not be the best place for a bye week, although still a pretty good spot. Home game against Nebraska is up next on the 16th of October. This is the best team that Scott Frost has had, but when you look at the talent, when you compare both of these teams, I think Minnesota, coming off that road win against Purdue, they're starting to get a little more confidence about them. They're going to start playing a little bit of tougher games than what they have since Bowling Green and Purdue. Nebraska is going to be a little bit of a test for Minnesota, and I think the Cornhuskers might be able to keep it a little closer than people think. But I do think Minnesota does end up winning the game, and I think Ibrahim has a really, really good day against Nebraska. Could be a close game, though. Home game against Maryland is up next. This could also be a close game. And historically, or at least in the past couple of years, Maryland likes to score in the first couple of games. I think Minnesota's defense slows down this Maryland offense enough to allow Minnesota's offense to score enough points so that Maryland's offense can't keep up. Maryland is going to play with a high up-tempo offense this year. I just feel that's the way things are going to work out. Minnesota's defense, again, are going to have to be filling in some holes this year, but also home field advantage. I didn't talk about it with Colorado, but I'll mention it now. Another reason why I have Colorado winning that game, we could see the largest home win percentage we've ever seen, or at least we've seen in recent history. That's a big reason why I think Colorado is going to win that game, and a big reason why I think Minnesota is going to beat Maryland. That could be a close game as well. Minnesota's got a lot of games that could end up being pretty close. Road game here against Northwestern. All right, Northwestern, a team that is second worst in returning production in the nation. They're losing pretty much everyone, offensively, defensively, but they're using the transfer portal and the recruiting to kind of build back up. And I feel like people are underrating Northwestern this year. I originally had them at 8-4. That might be lowered to 7-5, 6-6 right now. I'll keep it at 8-4. Why not? And I might be highballing Northwestern, absolutely. But I still think Northwestern's going to have a solid season. I don't think they're going to be able to get past Minnesota here. So I have Minnesota with a pretty good win on the road against Northwestern team that I think is going to be a lot better than people think. Home game against Illinois, and I have Minnesota winning this game as well. However, Illinois is a team that I think is going to be better than what people are thinking right now. So for Illinois, Brett Bielema is coming in at head coach, and he likes to play a high-powered running offense. He said he's going to go a little bit more to the spread offense this year, but the rushing attack worked well for Illinois last year, and I think they still see a lot of good success with the running game this year for the Fighting Illini. Illinois can surprise some people this year, make no mistake about it, but Minnesota is too talented for Illinois, wins that game. All right, here is the toughest stretch that Minnesota has to face all season. It's a road game against Iowa, a road game against Indiana, home game against Wisconsin. These are going to be three really, really hard games, and it also can help determine if Minnesota is going to go to a Big Ten championship game. So when we talk about this first game here against Iowa, I think Minnesota loses this one. Iowa's going to be a solid team this year. I've seen a lot of people say Iowa's actually going to be one of the better teams in the nation and could win the Big Ten West. And I think they can, but the Big Ten West is also wide open. I'm not quite sure what to think about Iowa this year. They're losing a lot on the offensive and defensive lines, a place where I think Minnesota is looking to improve, but they definitely can, and they have the talent to do so. And I think it can cause some commotion, can cause some problems for Iowa. But Tyler Goodson, really good running back. Spencer Petras, still developing, could have a breakout year. Defensively, still some solid players in the defensive back seven. And Kinnick is one of the hardest places to play in the nation. Give me the Hawkeyes to win that one. Also think you guys being Minnesota fans are going to lose this game against Indiana. So Indiana's a team that I still think people are underrating when you look at Indiana. It's a team that I think is just going to get better. Now, the record might not show it. I have them at 9-3, but this is still going to be a good team. Penix, Fogel, you got, Stephen Carr on the offensive end coming in, some other wide receivers coming in, Hendershot coming back. And then when you look at the defensive side, they got some players, a lot of players on the defensive side coming back, transfers. Indiana's going to be a solid team in 2021. Minnesota, not going to win that one. But I do think they are going to beat the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, historically, Wisconsin has kind of dominated the Minnesota Golden Gophers, at least in recent history. Wisconsin's won a lot more than Minnesota has. I think Minnesota finally gets them at home in TCF Bank. They beat the Badgers. This is going to be a pretty exciting game, but I see a lot of people overrating this Wisconsin team. Graham Mertz has to get better. The running backs have to live up to the Wisconsin hype. Give me the Golden Gophers to win that one and finish off the season at my predicted record of 8-4. I think that's a pretty solid prediction for Minnesota. If I'm a Minnesota fan, I would be pretty happy with that. Although Minnesota can do as good as 10-2. If Morgan can play good or as good, if not better than he did in 2019, Ibrahim has just an absolute career year. I'm talking like a Chuba Hubbard type year, 2,000 yards. Someone can fill in for Bateman. This team really can string together 10 wins. At worst, I see this team doing 6-6, and that's like an absolute worst case scenario for me, is barely making a bowl game. So that's going to do it for my Minnesota preview prediction for this upcoming college football season. If you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, share. You can also leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on the Golden Gophers, or you can also leave a comment down below telling me if you want to see me do maybe a couple more of these. But if not, we're going to move into some previewing matchups, players, all that kind of stuff. But tomorrow on Saturday, we're not going to do a top 10 player video. We're going to do Pac-12 power rankings, finish those out with the group of 5. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See you guys tomorrow when we talk about the Pac-12. Goodbye.